هو سفير للنوايا الحسنة لبرنامج سفراء العالم، استحقه بجدارة من منظمة جلوبيكال العالمية، وقالوا عنه ناس إن السفير اللي يحمل حقيبة خدمة المجتمع. وعلى مدى 5 سنوات صنع قصته في حقل العمل التطوعي، طبعا إلين أصبح سفير للنوايا الحسنة. محمد باخريبه يشوف إنه العمل التطوعي هو البذرة اللي نزرعها اليوم علشان يستظل بها أبناؤنا في المستقبل. باخريبه يأتينا اليوم علشان يشرح ثقافتنا عالمية. نرحب به.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, please may I ask you to stand up, please. Let's stand up for our country, stand up for our culture. Please, stand up, all of you. Ladies, they're at the end. And now a big hand of applause for each of us being good citizen to the country, good citizen to our culture. Thank you very much. You may sit down. Thank you. Today I'll be talking to you about a very interesting subject, a call of culture to Saudi Arabia. Actually, it's a call of duty to our country, giving back to our country. The idea have started in 2010. When I met the Minister of Culture and Information, I told him, like, we want to go to South Africa to the World Cup. And he's like, you can't go to the World Cup. I'm like, no, we want to go to the World Cup and talk to people about Saudi culture. Like, yeah, we're a free country. Go, talk about Saudi Arabia internationally. But we have done a survey, interviewing youth in the focal points in the city, to measure the understanding of the youth of the Saudi culture. Guess what? We find out the youth understanding about the Saudi culture is very limited. They don't know what is actually the culture. What does culture mean? So we decided not to go to South Africa, and instead we stay back here, talk to people about Saudi Arabia, and start a project that articulate the culture to the Saudi youth, at the same time mobilize those youth to go internationally and talk more about Saudi Arabia. So we end up we promote the Saudi Arabia through the youth. We have like more than 100,000 people studying abroad, right? So all these people will start to talk about Saudi Arabia internationally. The idea of the culture comes from identity. And the people in Saudi Arabia have different identity, right? We like to share. We have a lot of love to each other. We have faith to people. We do have a lot of faith. We're kind, and we have a lot of generosity. This is the identity of Saudi Arabia, our culture. This is how we communicate with each other, right? Right? And where all this idea have come from? Because whenever you go internationally to any conference and people like introducing themselves to each other, where are you coming from? I'm coming from UK. Well, I'm coming from Saudi Arabia. Okay, deserts. Oh yeah! Like, no guys, we have something more important now to talk about. We have culture. People internationally still think that the people in Saudi Arabia ride back home on camels. And people will still wonder, are you really having cars? Do you have electricity back there in Saudi Arabia? Do we? Oh yeah, definitely we have. Last week, we've been to the International Conference of Social Innovation in Naples, where they solve problems in Naples. And guess what? On the National Day, we get dressed in the national custom. And people like, Signori, please don't move, photo. People need to know, right? People need to know more about Saudi Arabia. So they're like, what is the history behind your national custom? Why you are overdressed? It's already here there. So get shorts, have fun. Like, we have different way of living. So we need to tell people what is Saudi Arabia and what's our culture, how we live in Saudi Arabia. And where all this idea have come from? In 2009, we started the project and the social media network to tell the people, or to bring the people's ideas and common values together. Because for the last decades, the media have somehow told us that people are not the same, people have different values, don't trust strangers. And we guess what, people? People are the same. People are equal. The only thing that differs is interpretation. Like in India, This means feed me in Saudi Arabia like someone giving you a lecture, like what I'm doing right now, right? So the interpretation is different, but the values are exactly the same. These are our values: integrity. These are the common values between people. People have a lot of integrity, they care for their community, they have teamwork together. And guess what? We have been able to reach Angelina Jolie through Facebook. Yeah, Angelina Jolie, goodwill ambassador for the UN. All right, she's a goodwill ambassador for the UN, and we've been able to put hands with her so we can promote the common values of the people. Kimberly Amori from Hollywood. And the idea of the project is to promote the individual's contribution to the world development by starting an understanding that you have a local role to do in the country, at the same time you have a global role to do. And there where we come with Globical, which is registered now in Washington, D.C. Finally, I just want to make a comment on the theme of the night. You can live your dream once you know what you will do next with your dream. Right? Thank you very much for listening. And you can reach us out through goodwillembassy@gmail.com. Yeah. Thank you very much for listening. Finally, I want to share with you a video clip that I'm very proud of. I launched it last week in Italy to tell about Saudi culture. Have fun.
Thank you.
You're watching it.
Yeah.